Hey everybody, it's Ping back for another edition of Moto 101. This week we're talking about a very specific part of the track, rutted turns that either have a rise or some type of bump in them. And they don't even have to be super rutted, but just something where there's a roller or a bump in or right through the turn, and there's a reason to stand. And I want to explain that a little bit. So we kind of picked two turns because there was two corners on this track that had this exact same issue. One of them's very rutted, but you come over a bump in the middle of the turn. The other one, there's a small rut coming in. It's a good rut. It wasn't too deep, but as you come out, there's a little sort of two rollers. And if you sit, this is what I tell people, think about seat bouncing. What are we doing to seat bounce? What is the reason for that? It's to compress that suspension to get it to drop in and use the rebound to help get us lift and come up, okay? But if we're not trying to jump something, get up over something, it's doing what we call upsetting the chassis, okay? As you come into the deeper rut on this particular instance, you'll see that if I were to sit through this thing, I'm gonna settle that suspension down. Just the weight of my butt coming down would push the suspension down in. As I tried to come out of that rut, it's gonna unweight, unload, and it's gonna upset the chassis, pop me up either out of the rut or up in the air where I'm not driving, I've lost control of the bike, and I'm trying to turn. So it makes it very ugly and confusing, right, to do that. So when we stand, again, when you're approaching a section like this, balls of your feet, okay, you should come in, get that quick, if you're in third, let's say coming in, you get that quick shift to second, a little bit of brake, and then it's back to the balls of your feet, okay? Enter the rut just like you would any rut standing. And just instead of sitting, you kind of lean in and navigate through the rut, leaning as appropriate. Like the faster you go, the more you have to lean, right? The more lean angle. And use your knees and arms to absorb that little bump so that you get back down on the ground quick. You stay straight, you stay, carving through that rut and then accelerate out of it. Again, if you were to sit here, you're going to come out of that rut and come off the ground, and probably the back end's going to kick left because it's you would be loaded and leaned, and that equals basically a kickback from the rear end. And you don't want that. So give this a try. In our second demonstration here that we'll show you, again, you come in, the rut isn't that deep, but there's two rollers coming out. Now, if I were to sit here, again, I'm gonna compress that suspension, and as I hit that first one, I'm gonna come up off the ground. And in a situation like this, maybe I could make it work. I could double up over them, but there really isn't enough lift to get that. So rather than do that, we stay on the pegs. And then you'll see me just stand. I kind of lean the bike in, give it a little bit of throttle, and carry the front wheel up over that second part of the bump. It just simplifies it. Again, we're looking to keep that chassis as quiet and as calm as possible at all times. So by coming in, it's a little loaded as I'm into that turn because I'm compressed, and I use that to just pop the front end. But I keep the rear wheel on the ground so it can drive, and I'm making sure I'm staying straight. And then as my front wheel clears that thing, I'm already looking to the next turn and accelerating towards it. So if you find a section on your track, a track like this, that's got a bump in the turn, it's not always going to work to stand. This isn't a written in stone type of deal. It's just a tool to have in your toolbox. Consider trying to go through it standing and see if that doesn't keep your chassis a little quieter, keep your bike from kind of bouncing back or standing you up in the rut. Because if you have a turn that's got a hump in the middle, it's very difficult to navigate sitting down. You lose a lot of control of your bike, and basically no matter what you try to do, you're compressing that suspension, and it's going to upset the chassis, right, and throw your arc through the turnoff. So I hope you guys can find a place on one of your local tracks to give this a try. It's a great tool to just have in case you see this on a racetrack. Hey, thanks for watching Moto 101. Stay tuned. We got more of these coming.